stop if we wanted from there. We just kept them on there. I know you guys kind of pretty low, so we forced it to. That's what the intention is.
I know.
Let's see if we can work it.
I could. Not take it off. You know what I mean?
I do. I know exactly what you're talking about.
But anything,
So Randy, Mike's going to call your cell phone.
take a look at it.
So that-
I did not know that. It
I'll
is
tell you one-
not gonna keep
How is it?
charged this whole time. I'm at 49%. But we can try it.
You know, that
Samsung Galaxy S.
Well, I'm at 44, so if your dies off, you can tell him to call
I've got a
mine.
charger in my truck.
So that's why I have his microphone facing down, so you can
Got it.
have your phone there.
little atrocious, yes. I'm taking a guess at at least 10.
This thing has about a 30-second delay,
Well,
because right now Randy just walked out of the room.
well, maybe it'll pick up after this little storm moves over.
5,
Do you need a charger, Randy?
at least 5 was.
Why don't I get it just to be safe? I mean, I've got my, it plugs into my truck or an outlet.
Okay.
And then my,
Try it.
I've got an Android charger for my, so.
May not work. My phone's a little cantankerous.
Because I don't think, because you see the 6. I said, anything that the experts can come out and clue me into.
Hello. We set a minefield for you to get.
I see.
Good. Nice to see you.
You too.
And I understand your husband perked up a little bit in the last couple of weeks.
Well, yes, he did, and then he perked down again. But he's, it just is one of those things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, let him know I continue to
Thanks
pray.
for asking. Okay, thank you, I appreciate that. You do.
Yes.
Hi there, how you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm trying to get this to work tonight.
I'm not doing the greatest right now, but I said, you know what, I didn't write all that for nothing, I'm down here anyway.
There you go. Did you get on the list yet?
No, I need to. The new camera gets in here, but yeah, I was late, I went down to donate plasma,
Okay.
and I gotta get back to my girls, so you guys, they didn't have a chance to put the fluids or even the rest of my blood back in me. I'm like, just take it, just let me out of here.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm losing.
Oh, I bet you are. Holy cow.
For a long day, yes. I can sit on my stomach, sit down, sit down.
I would appreciate it if you found some
Hello, fellas.
gave me any advice. How are you?
I'm doing all right.
Yeah?
I'm doing busy right now, donating plasma, and they were directing to someone else. I had to get out with you. Put all that stuff back.
I don't know. My wife is also planning on speaking this evening. About that, one of the subjects that we discussed on the phone that night. Okay. This big part of it. I'll turn it down. That just means we got sound. And so my plan, not just for her, it's just a plan, we don't have to answer. My plan, just for her, but for everybody else also is to say something like, we'll have the superintendent reply within one calendar week to your concerns is appropriate. Yeah, that's fine. I don't have to like make a motion to give you direction.
No,
Like,
no, no. That is perfectly fine.
Okay, that's fine.
Was, Tim Creek in here tonight?
She will be.
Who?
So
Cameras,
nobody
she
is
just,
flying over there?
cameras just pulled up.
Rebecca, how you doing? I'm doing okay.
And it won't matter.
I wouldn't get on this.
You know what I mean? Well, there's a 4x over here. All right.
That's for sure.
See if it'll even charge my phone.
No,
My phone will shake. My phone, like you said, so a long time ago, my phone was plugged in, dogs were all wild up, and yanked on it, so now there's only one cord that will charge my phone. Okay. A lot of their bags were unusable because the mouse has got chew holes in them. And then there were other bags that were useful because you took your knife too generously to them. Because she's got to like cut it even and then cut some off so that she can subsequently make handles.
Right.
And by the time she can make a bag like out your wild food one, your best route it would be like a purse.
Okay.
So,
Well, I've got more, like, I've always, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
I've always got, so now that I know,
yeah, it's
there's
not.
not, just cutting it right at the
Full string is easier.
I can't always.
Really?
Yeah, I can't always.
Well, ever since Katie, I think it was Katie Rolls, showed me there's a little trick. On, and it depends on what brand it is, but there's a side that's easier. Always a side that's easier.
But my problem is, most of the time, I don't have the string in my hand to hold the string. So that's why I've always got a pocket knife. I'm just, you know, I know I can stick it in there and run it across. You know, I know that'll first. But check out the headboards that I made for Ellen.
Oh, I saw that. I saw that on Facebook.
So I'm gonna do the headboard. So I'm gonna do a Colorado flag, a small one, I'm gonna put it up here.
I was told you can't do any duration until spring or fall. Really?
My whole barnyard, all of it is made out of my entire barnyard to build it, and it's probably.
You know,
Cost me
I got,
$7.
and so I got everybody who's
So these guys at work, they ordered these like.
Oh, you did, they put them on the dock, and
Put them on loaded dock. I got robbed. I got robbed.
I go there. For real, dude, I did, like, it's Monday. I went and picked up Saturday, Monday.
You know, all that happened when we used the palace is to save you work.
I walk out there, 5:45 every day, and I go home.
If I take it, if you get this, Robert's ring sign.
Then I go back, I can say I don't have. Right. But then it starts eating that, you know, that unchecked box, it'll start bothering me,
I will be with that camera. Okay, there's someone who's gonna do it that I can't do that.
What's the guy in the green shirt?
Just in.
I'm sorry.
I got the hats off to the residents. I heard it was a lot. It looks good. It looks very good. Little bit of sweats and all. You know.
Well, especially because it's so small. And then the girlfriend.
You did a really good job of doing information on it.
I got it.
Yes. I just didn't think it was going to transcribe pretty much from video. I might have chosen one word a little more different.
So I made it slowly hang up. Had a spot right there.
No, no, it's not.
Off the ground. Get it up. And I just happened to be.
Well, call him.
Okay. You don't know if you get one. You don't know if I like giving you one.
But I would say, I saw the ring down, and I just wanted to sleep in.
But yeah, I'm going
I didn't
to
come
stop
from
it. You know what I mean? I fixed the leg and that's so you see that the leg fits it up. Sure, okay.
Yeah, she asked me the same question.
I mean, you know. I'll volunteer and whatever you do. You just want rough cut edge stuff, like you build it, you want them browser, mold, you know, I mean, however you want them. Right there is my shop.
Well, now, probably about there.
She's my neighbor. Yes.
Right. Oh, yeah. No, I think.
She's been living there for a long time. I just came around in 2010. That's good, that's what I told people. So, yeah, so light partner, but I don't know. Press hard.
You can't die on it right now. All right.
I said I got to
Did you
call-
get the-
gotta give my little specialist.
Right, you were waiting for your appointment.
That's what I'm doing.
Okay.
Take care of yourself, better.
I say if you don't, you might get to do something about it, that way it doesn't do that. Step on some toes, but it's not. Yeah. Yeah, once you get it on. Yeah. But in certain circumstances, you gotta. Sure. You know, it's just for that.
That's not why I went.
And it's enough to just keep that in your meeting, but like, when somebody pushes themselves too hard, they'll let it happen, and they'll tell them how it is. Straight up. So it tells the truth.
And a phone.
Well, Sarah is, she did start back over at high school, I was homeschooling her halfway through the last year, but they had to do some training at her. And then that means that they always just go to.
Is that his correct cell phone number? I'm gonna try to put you on speaker. Myself. All right, Mike, can you hear us?
Hello, Mike. It's Grant.
Say something, Mike. Okay. All right. We're just waiting on Tag to return from the restroom, and then we'll get started. Okay, thank you. But then you could. There you go. Too much. I don't know. Bum, bum, bum. 6:31, August 17, 2000. Call this meeting to order. Let's rise to the pledge of allegiance. Do I have any volunteers? And pledge allegiance. Without a doubt. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Take a roll call, please.
Mr. Allen?
Here.
Mr. Watson? Here. By phone? Mr. Kirsten is absent with prior notice. Mr. Swayze?
Here.
And Mr. Underwood.
Here. All right, that brings us to number 3, modification approval of the agenda. Gentlemen, do you have any motions to modify the agenda? Okay, so what, I would, let me make that motion. Okay, So, first of all, let me move to add 6.05, approval of staff recommendations, part 3 to the agenda. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right, then I would like to make a motion to suspend our normal procedures and/or temporarily suspend any policies that may be affected in order to vote individually on the consent agenda items. Do I have a second?
Second.
Call for the vote, please. Mike, do you have anything?
No, we're separating on email, is that
Correct?
correct?
Sorry, call for the vote.
Mr. Allen?
Aye.
Mr. Lawson?
Aye.
Mr. McPherson is absent with notice. Mr. Swayze?
Aye.
And Mr. Underwood.
Aye. That brings us to student performances. Are there any student performances? I don't see any students, so I'll take that as a gigantic no. That brings us to 5.0, open forum. I'm assuming we have people signed up to speak.
We do. We have Irene Owens.
Welcome, Mrs.
Thank you. Okay, I was last year's 2017, class of 2017 sponsor.
Irene.
I was last year's 2017.
It's on.
It's always on that.
Well, I'm with Rhonda Smith, and I wrote last year's 2017 sponsor. And we talked about it at the end of the school year last year, and we haven't really mentioned anything to any of the parents. Maybe one or two of their kids, especially our own kids in the class. And I would like to ask the board permission to possibly, if the kids want, to take the kids on a cruise to probably the Caribbean. I called Carnival Cruise, and we can call other people. I just called Carnival to get a price range. And it will be about, for a 5 days cruise, it will be about $596.85 per person.
Mike, are you hearing this?
Yeah, most of it, if you just find the phone over, well,
There we go.
there you go.
Okay, in this price of $596, almost $600, everything is included, all their food and most of their entertainment. Their entertainment's on the ship. They do a lot of things for teenagers. They have, the pool, everything. Food on one of the decks is there for 24 hours, so they can eat anytime they want. What is not included is soda. So if they wanted soda, they would have to have something that what they give, at least they give at Carnival Cruise, a sell and pay card. And that has to be attached. Each of the parents would have to attach it to a debit card or a credit card for their parent, their child. And as they pay for anything at the gift shop or anything, it'll come off of that. I just did a Caribbean cruise for 5 days. There would be 2 ports of call. And on that ports of call, something else that the kids can raise money for is if they want to do a trip outside, which would cost extra too. It's an American ship, so all American laws would be upheld. So like no drinking, so you don't have to worry about alcohol or anything like that. I believe it would be a great experience for our seniors. Most of our seniors are landlocked, they've never been outside of Colorado. I think it'd be a great idea to do that. One of the things I think they would learn is on the cruise ship, the workers that work there, they work 7 days a week. They do not get a day off. And they will work up to 6 months a year, take a month off, work another 6 months. I think our kids who, I think they need it really, something they really need is a work ethic and show how these people work. They're nice, they're friendly. The other thing I think is they'll meet new people. Most of the people on the cruise that I went on this summer, there was no American workers. They were all from other countries. And I learned stuff about other people. I think it would be a good experience for the kids, so I would like the board to consider that. Thank you.
We've had a conversation about this, so I've done some research, and I did not find any policies that were currently in effect. There was one a while ago, but I believe it was. I just turned the massive down.
so I've done the research, I do not believe there's any policies in effect that would prohibit this. I don't know what mechanism there is for the board to approve such a thing, but I'll ask the superintendent to look in that and get us an answer back on what, if any, action the board needs to take to approve that.
But the biggest piece will be if they will be leaving the country.
They are.
They are.
Ports, where will those places?
The one that I looked at would be, one would be the Bahamas and the other one would be Key West.
Key West is in
And Key West is still. And I just did a 5-day, I think 7 days would be too long. So 5 days would be 1 day at sea, the next day would be a port of call, the next day another port of call, and then 1 more day at sea. So we could leave like they did, I did a June 1st, because graduation was on the 26th, I believe, this year, 27th. But I said that June 1st would be back on June, I believe, 7th, it was whatever, 5 days, June 6th. And so at 8 o'clock in the morning. One thing I cannot find out is if we can include airfare into the cost of the price of the cruise, which would make the price go up with the airfare. It might be more cost efficient if we found cheaper airlines to, and this one was gonna leave out of Port Lauderdale. So that's just the one I looked at. There are other cruises, we can leave out of Galveston, we can leave out of Miami, Charleston, South Carolina. So, and I just think it'd be better, I haven't talked to last year's sponsors about how much they paid, but, you know, they had to pay for hotel, air travel, and food. And in this case, $500, $600, hotel and food is covered.
Good, thank you.
Mrs. Underwood.
Can you hear me or do I need to use mine?
You do use the microphone from Mr. Lawson.
For him as well as for video.
Hello.
We have audio working tonight on our video.
Yay. Okay, good evening. I'd like to first say to the school board as well as to the public that I am in no means bashing the school district by standing up here with my concerns. I hardly ever bring a complaint up to someone unless I have a possible solution. So bear with me while I get through this, and I will give you my 2 pennies on the situation.
Clock's ticking.
Special education is near and dear to my heart for a number of reasons. I'll spare you the reasons and instead remind you of how important it is to have a certified special educator. Without one, the paraprofessionals, one-on-one aides, as well as all other staff have no guidance. They receive instruction under the special educator. Having reliable and consistent paraprofessionals is a hard thing to grab hold of, especially for a rural district such as ours. I commend the administration for making the effort to provide the students with the quality of instructors we currently have. What the administration doesn't know is that a parent of a student with an IEP was talking to one of the paraprofessionals after the first day of school. The paraprofessional felt the need to state that so many special educators come and go through the doors that they decide over the years that they've just done whatever they feel they need to do. Otherwise, it gets too confusing. I thought, okay, right? So it made me think. When a student has an IEP, it is in effect for 1 calendar year unless there are amendments. It's a legal binding agreement. If the student's renewal takes place in September, October, so on, then it is in effect for that first day of school. As the parent was sitting with a parent professional, she began to ask questions about her child's IEP and whether it was being followed. The IEP states that the para is supposed to be in the student's class, all of the students' core classes, except for one, and there's reasons for that, which I won't elaborate. The parent told the parent that, oh, no worries. She doesn't need one in this class, even though it's stated in her IEP, because this teacher is really good about doing accommodations, making sure that the student gets notes and homework. Can you imagine what was going on in the mind of that parent? If this was your child, a child who wants to learn, a child who isn't able to learn like everyone else, but is eager to do so, and then a paraprofessional, someone who is supposed to have their back, believes this to be true. I'm sorry, but I truly feel professional needs to be taken out of that word. All teachers who have this student in their class are supposed to receive a snapshot of their IEP before the first school day in order to prepare for the first day. Unfortunately, that didn't happen this year for reasonable circumstances. It was unfortunately given 1 week after school started. Not only did one of the students who attends the district not have their IEP followed on the first day of school, this student was also put in a mainstream class in which they didn't belong, and to this day, 8 days in the school year, still thinks they will be in that class. This might seem a little confusing, so if you want me to clarify, please let me know. I'll email you or sit down. I'm directing this to the board because you vote on the BOCES contract. I admit I have not had an opportunity to read it, nor have I asked if it is for the public's eye. However, if we hire a special educator through BOCES, shouldn't they provide a substitute in the event the school is currently trying to hire one? And if not, should the director of special education be advising administration on what they are supposed to do? A number of schools back east, and this is where my solution is, so I'm quickly wrapping up. A number of schools back east, what they do is the teachers start 1 week prior to students. Yes, that's a lot to ask of our teachers, I understand. But again, teachers came into this profession for a reason, and so, in my opinion, if this is what you want to do, then you're going to do everything you need to do the job right. So a lot of the teachers start a week before students. They have a meeting with the special education director, and it's an all-day meeting, and they go through grades. Granted, that might not be suitable for our district, but instead, why not have an all-day meeting and have the special education director come in? You go over everyone's IEPs, all the teachers are there, and that way they have everything that they need to be ready for the first day of school. Again, this is not an opportunity event. It's a means to a solution as we grow. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. The little caveat is that we did finally hire a special ed teacher in the first year on December. What's that? I'm sorry, just correct me, right? BOCES hired. We did not hire. We were in the interview process, and we made it known ourselves. And then we said the area meeting BOCES. Just a little caveat. Thank you for your information.
Next.
Mr. Stout.
Mr. Stout, pleasure as always.
See you guys. I've been talking to State Board of Education, John Penn, and he put me in touch with Mr. Condi, who called me back. And he gave me the points of the different schools in this area. That's what I asked him for. I said, I can't understand the state's grading the schools. It's ridiculous. So I needed, how do you guys get those? And they said they do it on a point system. I said, okay, well, give me the point system. And the point system kind of surprised me how bad this was. Hanover scored 57.2 in 2014, and it's hovered around that area all the way from 2010. Not gotten any better. 2015, they didn't do the point system, and in 2016, points will come out in September. Edison, just down the road, is at 82.7. All the schools around Fountain, all the way out to Ellicott, are in the mid-70s to the high 70s. Hanover is sitting at 57. And we've had 3 different superintendents in here in that time. Got different people on the board in that time. And the problem is the same policies being followed over and over instead of them being changed. You have a superintendent. He's supposed to be running the schools. He has a suggestion, you should let him know it. If it finds out that nothing changes, then you can't. right? But in the meantime, you have to listen to the person. If you're not, nothing will change. And the definition of stupidity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different outcome. And right now, that's where I see what Hanover is. Guys, you got to do something different.
Steph, I gotta tell you, I think you stole my comments notes for this evening. Agreed. And thank you.
And I'll see you guys. I got to go to another meeting now. See you on Friday.
Charity Garrett.
Good evening, Ms. Garrett.
Good evening. So I wanted to address the board policies concerning physical activities at the school. Policy JLJ states all district students shall be provided opportunities to engage in daily physical activity. The district shall include not less than the minimum required amount of physical activity in the schedules of students attending elementary school, as such minimums are set forth in the state law. And middle school and high school students shall be afforded opportunities for physical activities that are age appropriate. And from what I understand, the students at the high school don't get any physical activity at all. And it's important to note that policy JLJ states that a school shall not substitute non-instructional physical activity for the standard-based PE classes. So these activities need to be separate from PE. Now, I also like to point out that the policy ADF, which I believe the board came up with as a requirement to come up with a policy for physical activity, it states requirement or encouragement that period of physical activity be at least 225 minutes per week. So you guys need to fix that because, I mean, it's not specific. So I also noticed that in order for the school to be eligible for grants through the No Child Left Behind Act, that a school that's on a 4-day week is required to provide at least 30 minutes of physical activities per day. And it can be split up any way you want. It can be 5 6s, 3 10s, whatever. And it's not specific. It can be stretching, running around the school, running around the gym, whatever. So they're not specific on how it needs to be done, but there has to be a person that it's their job and specific to manage the physical activities for the school, from what I was reading in the law. So I wanted to quote the CDC's in some of these researches that's very important. Physical activity, the CDC says physical activity can have an impact on cognitive skills and attitudes and academic behavior, all of which are important components of improved academic performance. These include enhanced concentration and attentions, as well as improved classroom behavior. Another quote, another research study on active living research says that in some cases more times in physical education, it leads to improved grades and standardized test scores. Also, in schools that are under government mandates to bridge the achievement gaps, physical education can actually help improve their scores. In fact, research has proven that schools that have neglected physical activities and PE perform worse in testing. So it's essential to correct the physical activities policies and enforce it to increase our academic performance. So, and then just one thing I want to bring up real quick is I wanted to ask you guys what happened with the rewording the no electronics policy, because that's already become an issue this year on the digital recorder. So I want to know what happened with that. Because it's been quite a few months and nothing has changed.
I'll
policy APF. It actually, 225 minutes is for elementary, it specifies elementary.
Right.
It doesn't say anything in there about 6 through 12.
Yeah, but the policy, if you notice, it says, require, did it say?
Requirement that periods of physical activity be provided for elementary students in accordance with policy JLJ, physical activity, and consistent with requirements of state law. A requirement or encouragement that periods of physical activity be at least 225 minutes per week for secondary students. At the elementary level, we actually, first of all, Tampa does report every year to the state, and we have to tell them things like that, so we meet the minimum requirement. What you'll find in high school is because we have graduation requirements, they don't necessarily end up having PE every school year. And so therefore, like my daughter, and she has a different requirement, but she didn't have a PE class for the first 3 years, and now she's a senior, she only has one credit. So she'll take PE this year, but she meets the state requirements on that. So what I think I hear you saying, though, is you'd like to see us at least making sure kids are active.
Well,
Whether
yeah.
it's PE class or, we've already talked about in terms of the mill levy override, one of the target areas is to be able to take the north part of the junior senior high school. We have a large concrete slab right now. In the past, it's been used either to catch ants and flies or for the buses to park and wash the buses. What we want to do is actually fence that in, and we want to work with our military who's adopted our school to create some sort of a physical obstacle course that's appropriate for the age, as well as some other activities. There's some basketball, stuff at the playground we can put in. The idea is that after lunch, kids actually can go outside and be physically active as well. And then, of course, on top of it, you have kids at sports. So to meet that, in the elementary, we see that as well. Because it count, what you can count as recess as well as a physical education class.
Right.
But I
Well,
think
physical activity and physical education is different.
Mhm.
And that's what they're saying, it has to be separate, and they have to have that physical activity. Like even stretching for 5 minutes before class, what it's going to do for their minds and their concentration alone is incredible, so why not do it? And you do that in 6 classes, you got your 30 minutes in. So, but it does say, middle school and high school students shall be afforded opportunities for physical activities. It's not at anybody's discretion, it says shall be, right there, afforded opportunities for physical activities. So,
Well, thank you for sharing with us.
all right.
I'll visit with Vanessa Stein and we'll see what it looks like, and come back and forth, report back next month.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Anyone else? Awesome. Okay, so that moves us on to 6.01, public consent agenda approval of July 2016 payables, part 2, and August 2016 payables. Do I have a motion to approve 6.01?
I'll make a motion.
Second?
Second.
Call for the vote, please.
Mr. Allen?
Aye.
Mr. Lawson?
Aye.
Mr. McPherson is absent. Mr. Swayze?
Aye.
Mr. Underwood?
Aye. Brings us to 6.02, approval of the July 20th, 2016 regular board minutes. Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Call for the vote, please.
Mr. Allen?
Aye.
Mr. Lawson?
Aye.
Mr. McPherson is absent. Mr. Swayze?
Aye.
Mr. Underwood?
Aye.
Right there.
Sir, minutes is, Tamara and I have talked about that, folks were wanting this to get faster, so we've talked about how she'll always do her best to get them up there, probably more reasonably by the Friday, which after the board meeting. So, it's been her impression it's been happening, so at least let folks know that we have told you in the past, or community members, they will always be up by the Friday, end of that business day after a board meeting.
Okay.
They didn't do this on vacation.
Right, I understand. Thank you.
Just pointing.
Brings us to 6.03, approve stack recommendations, part 1. Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Call for the vote, please.
Mr. Allen?
Aye.
Mr. Lawson?
Aye.
Mr. McPherson is absent. Mr. Swayze?
Aye.
Mr. Underwood?
Aye. Brings us to 6.04, approve staff recommendations, part 2. Do I have a motion to approve?
Make a motion.
Second? Do I have a second?
A second.
Call for the vote, please.
Actually, I can't get that.
It's to that shoes.
That's right.
myself totally.
Because they're coaches.
Oh, my bad. I will second the motion. Call for the vote, please.
Mr. Allen?
Aye.
Mr. Lawson?
I'm going to ask the board to allow me to abstain from this vote, even though it's the activities director and athletic director that we're voting on.
Okay, you abstain?
Mr. McPherson is absent. Mr. Swayze?
I abstain.
And Mr. Underwood?
Aye. The motion does not carry. 2 out of 4 does not carry.
You have 2 abstentions, which is the neutral votes. It goes on.
2, then we don't have a vote of quorum and it doesn't pass anyway.
You have quorum of 4. And if 2 abstain, then it's only 2. You can't have 5.
You gotta have 3.
Not the quorum. Because we've had meetings where we had 3 people show up and they vote on things.
Yes.
And only if
I have to do an abstaining, yes. Stand by. But even if it doesn't carry, that doesn't mean that the staff recommendation can't move. Or you can't, it doesn't mean you have to fire. You can just bring it up next month when there's a vote. It's not the way I understand it. I could be wrong.
Did you read it somewhere or you sat at lunch?
I investigated this situation around about November 2015, where I anticipated this kind of situation arising. So it's kind of vaguely in the cobwebs somewhere. I'm not quite sure, though, that under these circumstances, coaches need to abstain in approving the athletic director and approving the athletic director. That's your boss, but you already hired as coaches, and it doesn't financially affect you one way or the other.
I agree with that.
And I believe that the policy requiring you to abstain only concerns financial benefit, financial gain.
True. Well, see, that's what everybody keeps telling me, but I don't think so.
What is the policy that we rewrote?
It's either BD, BDA, somewhere near. See what happens when Matt's not here. You gotta do
Do you want to table it before?
I would like to, yes, I would like to table I would make a motion to table 6.04 until such time as we can determine voting quorum and or extension, which may be till later on in this meeting. Do I have a second for that motion?
Awesome.
Okay, so then let's call for that vote to table 6.04.
Mr. Allen?
Aye.
Mr. Lawson?
Mike?
Mr. McPherson is
You
absent.
can't take it that I should abstain from this.
Mr. Swayze?
Aye.
Mr. Underwood?
Aye.
Close more of an agenda.
Yeah, we're modifying the agenda mid-meeting, Mike. All right, that brings us to 6.05, approved staff recommendations, part 3. Do I have a motion to approve 6.05?
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
I second.
Call for the vote, please.
I got a discussion item on this.
Do you have a discussion item?
Yeah, I have discussion on this.
This is consent agenda.
Is that now why we separate them all so we can discuss them all?
No, we separated them all so that we could all properly abstain when necessary.
Where each thing you do.
Not on,
Also discussion on this.
not on consent agenda. If you wanted this a discussion item, you should have refused the vote to make it a consent agenda item, and then we could have discussed it. How about this? Let's move, I will make a motion to move 6.05 to 8.03. Do I have a second? If it's unanimous.
Why don't you, here's my recommendation.
You're
I recommend you call a temporary recess. I'll call Kelly, the attorney, ask him, and then let's do it.
Robert Rules doesn't reference.
In my, I can't find it right here, not quorum, there are about 10 different possibilities I can go.
Right, but the key isn't necessarily quorum, it's whether an abstention
Yeah.
counts against quorum.
I don't understand the point of discussing. We don't discuss other staff recommendations. If you have a question for the superintendent, you can certainly ask that question during your comments or during his. Do you think his answer to your concern is going to change your vote? Okay. There's a motion on the floor to approve 6.05. Call for the vote, please. Parks.
Mr. Allen?
Aye.
Mr. Lawson? Mr. McPherson is absent. Mr. Swayze?
Aye.
And Mr. Underwood?
I abstain.
Motion passes.
That will bring us to 7.0, board and superintendent's comments. As the superintendent is currently out of the room consulting the attorney, let's move on from 7.01 to 7.02, board comments. Mr. Allen.
I just want to say thanks to TJ and your crew or whoever it was that cleaned up the gym in the old building. I was over there for first volleyball practice, middle school volleyball practice, and I just heard stories of what it looked like before. I'd never seen it. It looks awesome. So thank you guys. And whoever, the whole team, whoever was in there, thank you.
Let him know, thank you.
Well done.
Mr. Swayze.
No, I have anything. Thank you.
Mr. Lawson.
No.
Okay, and then neither do I. I'd make a motion for a temporary recess until such time as the superintendent can reach.
I second.
Would you like to call for that vote?
Mr. Allen?
Aye.
Mr. Lawson?
Aye.
Mr. McPherson is absent. Mr. Swayze?
Aye.
Mr. Underwood?
Aye. So recess. Yeah, Ed's walking out. Okay.
I have clarification for you guys.
Yes, Mike? No, Ed is not here.
They can stay with the conflict of interest.
Okay.
Well, it's a little sketchy.
Okay. So Mike, did you hear what Grant said?
So they can go.
Okay, so basically, what Kelly said was that, once you declare your reason for extension, If there's a tie, then the board can ask you to vote after you see your for extension. And I'm sorry, say that again. The yeah, it's my phone last. So right, so once you declare your reason for yeah, I need a phone. It's actually gonna freaking mean right.
It does pretty good.
So I will start at 7. So it's 7.
Yeah, the only reason is if there's a tie, you know. But they have to state what their conflict is.
I would think, not that it's.
Well, two voted yea, 2 abstained, so we said in that case it's considered a tie.
This is legal also, if you're not firearms, you're
That's exactly what I was told when I called,
Hey, Mike,
but I was told I had
if you want to try this again,
filed with.
all right, I'm gonna call you on another phone.
Since it's now, I didn't know.
So you just state.
Okay.
Sorry to know that ahead of time.
By the letter of policies, they do have to abstain. Yeah, it does. It's not just the financial duty, it also goes and falls under the Board of Ethics because it's laws. Right. So it's
Hello?
more than just money. That's what
Hey, Mike, this is Randy on our meeting, and we're gonna see if this works any better.
way to go about it.
Okay, so Kelly says that, you know, since you declared your reason for your extension, then the board can ask you to vote to break a tie. All right, so we're going to proceed. Yes, sir. All right, call this meeting back to order. Oh, my bad. All right, at 7:10 p.m., I call this meeting back to order. Okay. Let's revisit 6.04, approved staff recommendations. We've tabled the agenda item, and we now have appropriate guidance to proceed. So I'm not sure the process, but I will request a motion, or do I have a motion to approve 6.04 staff recommendations, part 2?
So I'll make a motion.
Okay, do I have a second? I will second. Call for the vote, please.
Mr. Allen?
Aye.
Mr. Lawson? Mr. McPherson is absent. Mr. Swayze?
This vote is to vote for our AD and for coaches, and to break a tie, I will vote aye.
Mr. Underwood?
Aye. The motion passes. All right, on to 7.01, superintendent comments. We've already done our comments. We've already done that. It passed. Even though I abstained and Mike voted nay, 6.05
Got it.
passed.
You're right, you're right.
Well, you know, we are in the field of education, and we believe in you learning through experiences and stuff in your
Thanks for the experience, Grant.
So I guarantee you we'll know what to do next time. That's the good thing. So I will talk rather quickly, but at least Matt's not here to tell me his time. The first thing I want to share is Jody Moore, our preschool program. There are quality ratings that you can earn. And for the most part, preschool program can be a 1-star. But it becomes very challenging to be a 2-star, and even harder to be a 3. But with the work of the preschool program, she's achieved a 2-star rating for a preschool program. And if I'm correct, it's high enough for 2-star. We're not far from 3-star at this point.
We're right there.
So there's a lot of of criteria, there's some pretty rigorous criteria involved there. And if I remember right from your conversation, there aren't very many programs in the state that are at 3 or higher, even 2. So we're up there with a select few programs. So thank you to you and Pam for the program.
Thank you.
Both schools had a pretty good turnout at back to school open houses. I'm going to give you an enrollment report, but this is unofficial. And the reason is because we haven't disenrolled all students yet who aren't here. Students they stay in our system for at least 10 days before we start pulling them out. But we're pretty accurate at Prairie Heights because we haven't had the continuous flow of students coming in compared to junior, senior high school. But right now at Prairie Heights, we have 119 students in K through 5 and 18 for, or 9, no, we're up to 20 now. 20 in our pre-K program, so that makes a total of 139 students in our building, which is a high number for a while that we've had that many kids in our building. That's fabulous. At the junior, senior high school, again, not officially confirmed numbers, we're sitting at approximately 65 at the junior high school and 72 at the senior for a total of 137 students. So when we look at our total funding, depending on how many students we end up removing from the junior, senior high school, we have a chance of being higher than what we projected our budget to be. 12 what? What's that? 12 higher. It actually ends up being because preschoolers count as only 12 slots, no matter how many we have. And kindergartens are only 0.58. Our funded total would be somewhere around 250. It looks like 258.34 in the books, but we need to add out some kids. Point being, for every student that goes up, that's $12,000 for our district that we did budget for. So we're really hoping we come in there, but there is a little chance that we can drop because the company is not until October 5th. Just as a reminder for the board that this year we are trying a new concept of having the SACs at both buildings, DAC and the PTO Prairie Heights all meet at the same time, starting at 6 o'clock. And they will always be the week after the board meeting, and they will always be at the location wherever the board meeting is held. And a big reason for this, well, there's 2 big reasons. Number one, we're hoping we can get a greater turnout of post volunteers so don't think we'll have to go to 2 or 3 separate meetings. But the other is there's quite a bit of redundant information. So they will be together as a group, give the basic information, and then break into their groups to hold their meetings. I have heard from all 4 of you in here that you are going to join me with a meeting with the State Board of Education member for our area, Steve Durham. And we'll have to post on our district website, we'll do that a couple days prior, that we're having a meeting. We're not conducting board business, but we will have a quorum present. We're going to meet at the junior, senior high school. And part of it is because the State Board of Education makes the rules on the laws. And they have talked as if though they want to provide relief for rural districts in a variety of ways, but then when it gets to the State Board of Ed, the rules that they make, sometimes they don't follow through on providing us relief at the local level, especially as a school. So that's one of the topics. And the other one is, and I emailed him before they made the rule on this. So anybody in the room who is mathematically inclined, we test our kids on a criterion-based assessment, meaning you score this many points, you get that score. But then when it goes to the school performance framework that Mr. Stout was talking about, they lay a bell curve over the top of us. That means you always have losers and you always have winners. Even if all schools were proficient or advanced on all the tests, they still will lay the bell curve over and you will have losers and winners. And so I share with him in statistics, you can't change the measures, scale of measures, but we're doing it in the state of Colorado. And so he said he was interested to hear more about what I had to share on that front. And so that's something you'll hear me also tell me about that. Today I finally arranged our meeting with Senator Grantham. He is also on the JBC. There are 3 Democrats and 3 Republicans. So he's one of the members of the JBC, Joint Budget Committee, and they're the ones who decide how much money they'll give to whoever. you guys know I was in contact with them at the end of this last legislative session because we're one of 13 districts that actually lost money. And it didn't make sense because the total of the 13 districts that lost was $1.3 million. So they cut, we all lose the equivalent of $1.3 million. Then at the same time this is going on, the state puts out a report that's saying Colorado READ Act is showing fewer kids who are significantly reading deficient. And so my point to him was, look, you don't need as much money for the program anymore, which gets double-digit millions, like $50, $60 million. Just bring the 1.3 million over and let us at least be zero. He sits on the JBC, and then that's when he said, well, we've already done enough for rules, and everybody wants money, etc. So I thought it'd be important for him to come and meet to see us, and invited him to come here to Prairie Heights, and that's intentional because we're a smaller building. And I want him to get a sense that we really are rural. I'm afraid to go to the other building and see big, and he may not realize we are a rural school district. So that is, I have it on September 21st at 10 a.m. here. So if you guys just let me know if you're interested in attending, and then if we have a forum, we'll post that as well. And then I'm finalizing date and time to meet with our representative, Paul Bundy. He's already said he will meet with us. We're just finding it. So the reason is when they go to legislative session, if we can help personalize, humanize Hanover School District, then it helps when we send them communications. So it's not a private meeting. So when we announce it, if some community members decide, hey, we'll just kind of hang out on the flag wall. We have 2 sheds that are hitting last year's budget. They arrive on site now, and they are in front of the track and the football field at the junior senior high school. The intention is one of the sheds will be for us to store the equipment, football equipment, and the other one will be a combination of our concession and ticket booth. It'll help to start forming the design of that football field so when people come in. Right now, as you know, tickets are in one place. You have to go all the way inside, and that really is all the way inside to go to concessions. You might miss some of the game if your child's playing. So this hopefully will help out. And then TJ was able to, as he mentioned, I think our last board meeting or two, we had a flag that was donated, so we actually had that pole actually placed. The flag is flying high.
It's not the donated one, we bought this one.
We bought this. We bought the pole.
We bought a 30-foot pole for $565 installed.
So now we actually have a flag pole at the field instead of, I saw one game, I think Mark had to hold it out of the window of a car. So now we've got something a little more appropriate. We had some initial concerns about the air conditioning at the beginning of the school year. Classrooms were set at 74 degrees with a 3-degree range to move up or down, which didn't always work to move up or down. And that was part of our Wi-Fi thermostat project. Our consultant recommended we set at 74. I did some research and showed them that actually the ideal temperature is 72 with the option of moving 3 degrees up or down. So we're in the process of making sure all of the classroom temperatures across the district are set at 72, not at 74. So at 74, we still felt warm. So just so you're aware, we're aware and we're working on it, and it was part of the energy plan, but it was set at the wrong temperature. So that's where it is. Under the junior senior high school, there's an issue with the cafeteria, so they shut down the system to fix it, and we're up and running just fine now. Okay, good.
The heater doesn't work now, but we had to take from the heater to put to the children, but we're not worried about heat right now. That part will be in about 10 days.
There's 3 more quick ones for you. Not so quick. All classrooms, so you do what's called education specifications. They also call it ed specs. And you have to have those, and you need to have those in place as any district and any organization. And this pretty much says in every classroom, these are the minimum things you need to have, whether it's size, whether it's storage space. In this case, I'm talking about technology. And so there was a while that under Mr. McCarty's leadership, the attempt was to try to get smart boards in every classroom. And that was pretty expensive, so we weren't able to continue that trend at the current state. But what you can do is you can jerry-rig, if you want to call it that, or create a pretend one by getting an LCD projector and a document camera. I'm not crying, I'm not crying. And so we will, I understand everything's in, so by the end of next week, all classrooms, if they don't have a smart board, they'll have an LCD projector, a document camera, which looks like an arm like this, and it's a camera and it shoots through the LCD projector, it shows on the screen, so the teacher can put a worksheet or a document under it, and the students can follow along. That's a pretty cool thing. All classrooms will have those, and at least a whiteboard, not a smart board. So just letting you guys know. The other thing is that when our desktops go down, instead of replacing them, it's a little bit more expensive, but we're going to start replacing with laptops instead of desktops so that staff have more mobility to work with them, and not, well, I think you guys probably what I'm saying, that way they have a laptop for greater mobility. We did secure the loan that you all approved. It's more like a line of credit, so our max is $60,000 as we discussed, but we only pay interest and make payments on what we spend on that. So the first spend was on the Wi-Fi thermostats, so we can also have remote control on that, and that came to right around $21,000, a little bit below what was originally put out there. And then our interest rate's 4% on that. We currently hold an AA plus rating with Moody's, which is pretty good as a district. And the next purchase on that money will be the LED lights in the junior senior high school gymnasium, and then reusing those lights because they're the right color, more of a white color, blue-white. We'll put those in the old elementary gym, which are kind of a yellow color. And that way it'll be better lighting in the junior senior high school gyms. The only cost for that would be possible installation. TJ, unless we can do it, but probably installation.
Into the new building, we should.
Okay. That's projected to be about $23,000. Just so you're aware of that. Then the last thing is, we talked about trying to afford retreats. I saw Randy Black case when I was in case at Breckenridge in July, and he offered some dates and times. And so what I'm going to do is see if most of the time, dates and times he gave were weekdays from 10 to 3. He has 3 evening times though, which I'm thinking may be better for us. So Thursday, September 1st in the evening, all 3 are Thursdays. October 27th in the evening and November 3rd in the evening. What was the second date? October 27th. So it's the first, I guess, it's November 3rd. Well, I guess the first thing is if tonight, if there is enough decision from all of you that September 1 would work, great. If not, then you can wait till September to come to the board meeting and you guys can make your decision.
Well, I have to check my work schedule that I don't have access to. I can't confirm, can't commit. What's the difference?
How about this? How about if you all communicate to Tamara which of those 3 days you prefer? And then we'll go with the majority.
Mike, did you get that? Well, he proposed 3 dates, September 1st, October 27th, and November 3rd, and so you just let Tamara know which one works best for you.
And that is the end of my long report.
Awesome, so in your absence, it's 7.02. Read and listen to it on the recording. That brings us to 8.01, or a discussion on it, 8.01 armed stack. So we've had several, well, this is the 3rd discussion now that we've scheduled on this. This time the insurability standards were sent to all of us so we can see what the underwriting guidelines are for the insurance company with respect to security guards and personnel being armed.
basically just lists out what their training requirements are. We talked briefly about that last month. How you have to document it, annual requalification requirements, and then a list of training resources. And then some recommendations.
So the good news was that for the September meeting, that Dr. Schmidt did policies in surrounding districts that implement those in their schools, and we recommend such a program for all those school districts and how they implement and what they use.
Okay.
So if you want to, this out to the September.
Well, yeah, we're not going to make any decisions on this today, obviously, but, I think it's probably to the point, and if you guys agree that, we've talked about it enough, let's see what it looks like in policy. So kind of a plan. Go for it. Basically, yep.
That's more than is more college classes through college. That people are gonna have to go to actually get this.
But again, we're not, our policy would not require anyone to get it, but if they wanted to get it, then obviously they would have to meet these standards.
A policy won't require, but the insurance will do what it's doing.
Well, right, that's why I think it would be wise if we're actually gonna write the policy, to have something along these lines written in that policy so we can ensure that our insurance company will cover us.
Okay.
I mean, don't you think? Oh, this isn't my issue, I'm not writing that policy. But I would be interested to see what the policy would look like. So I think we'll move forward with the plan that we had, which was Dr. Schmidt in the September board meeting is going to give us a report of what other school districts' policies who do this kind of thing look like. And then we can make the decision from there to whether to move on and actually put it in a draft policy and vote on it. Any other discussion on 8.01? No. All right, 8.02, hydroponics. I didn't see anything in the packet.
No, I was under the impression that Mr. Watson was going to be presenting some kind of a financial update.
You have some data, Mike?
Yeah, I've actually talked with this about this time. They're currently doing a program I've been using in a science class. And next month is when Ms. Vanessa wanted me to bring in a small model drill equipment so we can set something up to do it on a small scale and show everybody that, hey, this does really work. So, basically show Ms. Vanessa Stein, she's there, and she can explain what they're really doing in the class and when I'll be getting involved with an actual demonstration on what hydroponics is, how it works, what it does, and then we go from there with a small demonstration down in the science classroom.
Okay, so Mrs. Van is not here.
Okay.
Mrs. Van Esselstein is not here.
Okay.
But, so basically,
That's basically where we're at with it. They're doing it in the science class right now, and they're working on solar, passive solar, and stuff like that. They're working on the heating and the electrical aspect of doing a self-sufficient greenhouse, so to say. And next month they should start moving into the actual growing aspects, and that's where I'll bring in a small-scale hydroponic system that we'll put together, and we'll actually start growing plants next month in the science class.
okay. So then how do you envision going from this small scale demo in the science classes to ramping up to what you really want to get to?
Like I talked with Ms. Vanessa the other night after the meeting we had, and it's basically one of those, if we can get the community involved, we want to get Ms. Cindy part of the farm to school program. And we want to start small locally with our school, getting our food system in place, and then working and building and growing towards getting enough stuff produced that we can sell to, say, Edison, and then we can try to get it to Ellicott, and we can try to get it to Miami Yogurt, and just gradually build this up over the next 2 or 3 years, and then finally having it operational, doing, your berries and your fruits and your vegetables.
Hey, Mike, has anybody approached yet any of these other schools to see if it's something they would consider be interested in buying from us, buying our produce?
No. But again, if I could save you 50% of your food bill, once you change it, you're getting a better product.
Oh, sure, I was just wondering where we are with negotiating what we're gonna do with all the product.
Right, well, I mean, at first, we'll probably barely be able to feed our school with it. So until we can actually get that established, even if all we ever do with this program is feed our home school, we still save 50% of our food bill.
All right, yeah, we're with you. Anything else?
No, as far as that, like I said, I believe that next month is when Stan said that they'll be moving into the actual growing. That would be not October, probably November. So when I say next month, I actually mean November, when the students will be getting into the actual grilling aspect. And that's when we can expect a small scale production of one here in the room.
Okay. Any other discussion on hydroponics? Okay, that brings us to 9.01, policy GCL. Do I have a motion to approve 9.01?
Make a motion.
Do I have a second?
A second.
Discussion. Any discussion? Not hearing any discussion, call for the vote, please.
Mr. Allen?
Aye.
Mr. Watson?
Aye.
Mr. McPherson is absent. Mr. Swayze?
Aye.
Mr. Underwood?
Aye. Brings us to 9.02, approve intergovernmental agreement for the mill levy override election. Do I have a motion to approve it?
I make a motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I'll second.
Discussion. Tamara, would you like to explain this? Those people that haven't already got your explanation.
So the intergovernmental agreement is basically an agreement between our school district and the county on how we're going to proceed with the election for the mill levy override. It's a simple document that we vote on who we're going to have as our district election official. It also then breaks out the cost of the election. When we first turn these papers, we have to pay 50% of that fee. I believe it was $1,300, and we have to pay up front $634, I believe, for the person that we paid when we turn this paper in, which is due by August 30th. Once we have that paper in, the next step then is to move into ballot certification and those type things. And then we have very strict deadlines in which we have to meet. The intergovernmental agreement is also signed off not only with our school district and our district election officials, but it is also signed off by our lawyer, which then goes to the county elections office. They sign off on it, and then it comes back to us. So it is a very official document, but it is something that we have to do every time that we have an election.
Any further discussion? Call for the vote. Go ahead, Mike.
I was going to say, is the verbiage in here that we discussed last month? I skimmed through, I looked at this and I didn't see the verbiage. Is this just the contract between us and the state?
Yes, it's a contract between us and the county. The official verbiage will follow in subsequent information exchanges between the school district and the county.
Okay. That's what I thought it was.
And the verbiage on the ballot question is what you guys approved, and I remember Mike made a recommendation, we adjusted the language to what you were recommending.
But not limited to.
Right, Do you remember that, Mike, where we took out but not limited to, so.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's the ballot language that will move forward as we voted on, all right? Okay, any further discussion? Call for the vote, please.
Mr. Allen?
Aye.
Mr. Lawson?
Aye.
Mr. McPherson is absent. Mr. Swayze?
Aye.
And Mr. Underwood?
Aye.
Before you proceed, I want to clarify that they included the recommendation of campers being the election official for the district.
Yep, I read that.
Making sure.
9.03, approved energy service associates incorporated professional services agreement. Do I have a motion to approve 9.03?
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Discussion. If I remember last meeting, we wanted to engage them to tweak percentages at different ranges. Did we do that engagement? And this is what we come up with?
I want to clarify, the answer is yes. Just so you have an idea of the numbers we're talking about that go into this, there were no savings last year.
I understand.
And so it's anticipated that we won't even realize all $6,000 this upcoming year.
Understand.
So knowing that, then pretty much all the savings is ours because we don't reach the minimums that are in. And I believe that this was a similar language of contract that was gone into agreement with maybe 4 school years ago. And again, the only way a person makes money is if they save a certain amount. So if you want to be specific on any of those, the only thing I heard was that it was the $6,000 for $6,000 we keep. Then everything above that, and there's a percentage that we keep. The company gets to save.
Right. I think what was the percentage?
80%.
80% from 6,000 to 20,000.
That's what we said.
Right.
And which preference?
Less? I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
First, see that switched, maybe fewer, a lower percentage at the beginning and a higher at the end. To be honest with you, we don't have $20,000 to save.
Well, right, I understand that. So, look, I mean, just doing that math, right? So let's say we save 14, and that's a bad number. Let's say we save $16,000. Okay, so the first 6,000 is us, so that means they've saved us $10,000. So that means they get 80 of that $10,000.
16,000, we get the first 6, there's 10 months, yes, yeah, that's correct.
Oops.
Here's the other flip side of the coin. We don't engage with anybody, and we try to do some savings on our own, probably won't know everything we need to know for savings. So.
Yeah, no, I know. I'm just trying to throw some numbers in my head, so.
Okay.
Well, I mean, think about it realistically. How much can we really save? I mean, if we penny pinched everything, every possible cut, everything, are we gonna save 16,000? I mean,
I know
It's
what
like right around.
their big item they're waiting for is the solar farm to go in where we are self-sufficient. So basically, that's the payday he's looking for.
Stand by. Okay, go ahead, Mike.
This is my whole problem with the percentage. If we have to spend $60,000 to get all the LED lights in and everything else, and I'm just throwing numbers out. If we have to spend $50,000 to get all the LED lights, but we only get the $6,000 on any savings over the first $6,000 in savings, that's going to take a lot of time to repay that $50,000, that initial $50,000, while they're collecting 80% of everything above $60,000. And I understand they don't negotiate. Their contract is what it is, kind of like BOCES.
No, he's negotiable. I didn't know the percentage, I only knew the $6,000 mark.
well, but
I couldn't talk to you about
can we recoup that expense? We've got to recoup it before it's a savings, right? If we spend 50 grand to put lights in, we're not saving money until we've made the 50 grand back
8 years down the road. 9 years down the road.
Well, they're collecting 80% of the lion's share of the savings.
They don't get it collected until we've recouped all of our money back.
That's not the way it works.
It's not a savings if we invest it.
But the metric is how much you spend on utilities, not how much you invest in infrastructure.
That's right.
If there were an assessment of how much you invest in infrastructure and then calculate the savings based on that, we'd have already voted yes on this.
I would have jumped all over that.
Right.
But we have to spend that money first. And then we only need to collect $6,000 in savings. And that's not going to be a monthly savings.
Oh, that's probably what we're going to save a year. So you could look
So
at it.
we'll probably never see our investment back on this. We will see a reduction in our electric bill. But I would like to see the cost of what these lights are going to cost us, how much we're actually going to save, so that we can look at this 6,000 and then this 80% and say, oh yeah, it's going to take us 3 years to get our money back, or 4 years. But right now, we don't know that, because we don't know what all these lights are going to cost us.
So I would say you could look at, negotiate that particular area, you could look at it as a term. So we have the loan for a certain term, and the idea is within that term, we want to come out of that. That's the concept. So the language can be written in there to address that. So by the time the term of the loan is up, we will have had savings. You probably want to identify the numbers, though. We don't say savings, because 1 penny savings is a break even for us, basically.
I think that's all I'm looking for is break even. If you count the capital investment in that, and we have a savings, I'm all in.
Yeah, I guess there's 3. The others say capital, that's a net. Capital is savings, and then if the net difference is up to 6,000, we get to keep it, and up above it, those percentages kick in. The third thing I'm going to say, though, we could say that we would just give the person a small flat annual, because if you think on that side, they wouldn't want to get into a 5-year agreement with us and not be paid for 6 years later.
Right, understand?
So maybe it's a minimal $5,000 a year. I don't know, make the number up, but then we get to keep the savings at the net level. So we could tweak the language, I'm sure you think it all right.
I think we would, so then what what I think would be a good thing to do is to either table this or not approve it and then send it back to the drawing board.
It's still there.
You still there, Mike?
That was the direct drop the ball sound.
Was it?
So how about we
Still got 3.
How about we table it, and I ask that 2 of you, 2 board members, join me in the conversation. Absolutely. With them to negotiate, and then we can come back for full board vote.
I volunteer those 2 gentlemen right there.
Well, first of all, how about, I make a motion to table this, item. You there, Mike? Mike, you there?
You know that guy was right, you see the commercial, can you hear me now?
Sorry.
Almost a collusion.
I make a motion to table this action item until such time as we can restructure the contract. You there, Mike? Mike?
Okay, I see.
Call for the vote, please.
Somebody second? Oh,
We actually fought over it.
Mr. Allen?
Aye.
Mr. How do I say that?
Wait, I'm trying to connect.
Disconnect.
Not connecting?
Stop.
You probably would.
That's Michael Lawson, with the firearms training range.
Mr. Lawson is absent without prior notice.
Hey, it's very good acting president.
What did you say?
Mr. Lawson is absent without prior
Without
notice.
prior notice. You heard the acting president. Put it down.
Try to put it back.
Quit smiling in the audience.
I'm gonna have to go and memorize it.
Is it the same difference as if all of a sudden you have to go to the bathroom? You can still go through roll call and wait if it's unbecoming necessary.
What is the quorum anyway? What do we need
I'm looking for the advisory from.
No, you can have the quorum as
for?
long
We have a quorum.
as long as they don't vote, as long as it's not a tie vote, you're okay. Actually, even if it's a tie
Agree with
vote.
us now.
I don't think it'll be tied, but I don't think, I think it's
Let's
probably. We don't need it straight.
Okay, so Mr. Lawson is now absent.
Yes.
Mr. McPherson is absent.
There it is.
Hello? Mike? Okay, here we are, hold on.
Okay, let's hope I press the right button. Okay, Mike, so we have a motion on the table a motion to table this until we have time to restructure the contract. And it's your vote. Say again? Mike? Mr. Lawson's absent. Please proceed.
Mr. McPherson is absent. Mr. Swayze?
Aye.
Mr. Underwood?
Aye. 9.04, approve sale of modular building. Do I have a motion to approve 9.04?
I make a motion.
Do I have a second?
A second.
Discussion.
Right.
Sure.
You may have moved over it.
Don't know where that. My phone's right now.
So, as I understand the cover sheet, we are selling the modular buildings for $1,070. All removal, all, that we aren't spending a penny to get rid of it.
Just $70.
Well, but they paid $70 on top of this.
Right. Why so low?
Somebody else is
Is that the only bidder or the highest bidder?
good. The only.
It was the only bidder. There were several people that were asking questions, contacting TJ. I mean, his phone was well met. But that was the only bid that we got, and it
Hello?
came right as the bid, or
Might
right
be
as
there.
the auction was closing.
If you want a little background on that, when I talk to these guys, it's gonna cost them roughly between $30,000 and $40,000 where it's going. It's no simple hook up a truck and take off.
They taking it all the way down there?
Huh?
They taking it all the way to Florida?
No, they're, these guys that put in the offer, there's a building project that's a couple hundred miles north here that they were talking about.
Oh, okay. They're out of.
But it costs a blooming fortune to move it. There's a lot involved, it isn't just hook up a trailer and go. And this is one of those, I don't know if it's too late to say modular buildings. Is it too late to say that? Because I.
No, because it's.
I'd love to get rid of that modular building on the football field. But I need authorization to be able to sell it out.
That's right.
I don't know if it was too late to say this.
Actually, on that particular, we got a solution on that.
Mike, we have we're discussing sale of the modular buildings.
He said, no, we're not.
So just some information on what this building costs us now, because it's not being used right now. It has a bunch of storage stuff in there, I mean, from the transportation was in there, past uses for it. Right now, that building costs us $1,660 a year for liability insurance, which I did talk to our liability insurance company, and if we decide before August 30th to go ahead and let this building go, they will refund us back that money, because we have to pay for liability insurance up front every year. They would refund that back. Currently, the average utility cost on that building, because it is still hooked up to a meter, everything is not just shut off, pipes can't freeze and all that kind of thing, so there's reasons for leaving that on. But that building right now does run us between $250 and $300 a month in electricity costs.
That's not including, it still has to be under alarm,
Right. and it's
fire
still also
alarm,
being
burglar
monitored by the
alarm.
company.
See, there's other costs that we are, I asked all these questions already, because I thought, Tamara, what are we doing, giving it away?
That's what it looks like to me.
It does, I asked her the same thing when I was in.
But I mean, it looks like we're gonna start making money right away. We get $1,000+ in liability insurance we don't have to pay. We don't bear any costs in cleaning, removing.
Nothing.
Now, my only concern, and this is probably more of a question for TJ, is at one point in time when this was brought up to someone in the fire department, they said that they believed that there might have been some law or regulation about it being so old it can't be moved or something like that.
I read,
The building has to be newer than 30 years old in order to be moved.
when I tried to do some research on this, and I spent maybe only half an hour on it, trying to Google it, it was basically based around a modular home, not a modular office.
Not an office space.
Modular homes had all these rules and regs.
Right.
I couldn't find anything saying modular
And
home.
this is considered an office or a school building, and it's not. It's not. I went through the same stuff when people were moving the homes. This guy up here in Elcott that has all those homes, he can't move those out of his lot because they're homes. But he's got one there that is an office space, and he can move that. And he was trying to sell it to me. I made it show him. If it's an office space or these modulars for the schools, they can move it.
We also found that our market for it dwindled significantly because we don't have plates. The state requires plates, basically, but the funny thing is, the state, they take the number, but they're not organized enough to tell you anything about the number you ask them. So we're in a school district like, they bought these two modulars, you can only buy them if they have this plate. And so neither the and government entities out of the picture because they can't.
Is that the HUD plate?
Looks like a miniature license plate.
It has a HUD stamp on it?
Yeah, well, these were donated from
Sure.
That's why we don't.
So we lost our market quite a bit. So actually, when someone came along, they're not rating it, they're just doing some work so they can take it wherever they go.
There's a lot of electrical power going to that spot. Who's responsible for back pulling that to the pole so that there's no hazard and there's no giant boxes just sticking up in the middle of the ground where we want the kids to play football?
We're gonna spend $300 on a really large wire cutter. Snap that thing.
Bring the breaker off first.
Bring in marshmallows.
Honestly, I have not seen what that entails. I have to defer to TJ to see.
That's new to me too. And the buyer has to professionally have it disconnected.
Right, but you
I don't know about running it back to the pole.
That's an important thing, because from what I read to it, because I actually read through it pretty close, I have a little experience with these type of things, is the buyer is going to be responsible to remove electricity to the unit. But usually what they'll do is, they'll probably ask to take a box, but a lot of times they just unbolt the box, cut the wire and go, and you're left with this giant goalpost in the middle of your.
Well, we want to use it for football practice.
Yeah, but I mean, that's definitely gonna be a hazard, so that's, I mean, it'd probably be able to be paid for in the savings, but to think this all the way through, if that's gonna be utilized for the intended purpose, I'm not gonna say stop the sale, by all means, but look at, you're gonna have to invest a little money in infrastructure to remove it to the pole.
And I don't know the distance.
Well, you can use a house.
But we're not, our plan is to level the field, remove debris, and have its potential additional space for football practice in junior high. So, but if we sell it for 1,000 and we're gonna get 1,600, we're 2,660. And we're gonna say, or 250 to 300, so you're talking about 200,000. So, you know, we've got 5,600 hours. I can't imagine it would cost that much more. Either that will say, only be worth 5,600 hours. Here's the other good news. We're doing this, not our industry consulting company, so.
That can't count.
That's a contract. It'll help us.
Sure, it'll help us, but that can't count.
But, yeah.
It will.
Well, it wasn't his idea though. We only do things on this consultation. That's what it meant, so.
Okay. All right, any further discussion? Call for the vote, please.
Mr. Allen?
Aye.
Mr. Lawson is absent, Mr. McPherson is absent, Mr. Swayze?
Aye.
Mr. Underwood?
Aye.
Sure, better.
That brings us to 10.0 information updates. Do we have any questions or comments on the information updates? I do. Did we have a DAC meeting this month? Or are we still trying to get that right? Okay, so we did not have a DAC meeting prior to our board meeting. Okay. Why, there are ones missing, but I guess I can understand athletic directors since we just voted on this evening. It's the normal, awesome.
I can tell you, with school starting this early, we are all like a week and a half behind.
I'll give you the big picture items if anybody want to verbal.
Sure, shoot.
Big picture items are, we just turned on the children's for junior, senior high school. That's been a challenge. And from day one, as we all have figured out, but it hasn't quit. So we've been able to keep it going. Here is where these wireless systems, and keeping it going because it is having some issues with keeping connectivities. A lot of the back to school, getting new drivers set up for that right there. A lot of training. We're getting a lot of new drivers. Some old drivers leaving, new drivers coming in, so lots of training there. We all know Mark's situation. So we temporarily brought somebody in, already a driver, just to fill in a little bit at Mark's stead. So we anxiously wait for him coming back to us. What were some of the other big projects we got going on? The fire alarm system here at the elementary school is having some issues. And I guess this is what happens when we actively start using these buildings again. So we're just fighting through every little thing that doesn't want to operate to 100% efficiency.
We did a fire drill here, and then it was time to reset. We couldn't get to reset, and that was one of the issues.
I think it was 164 alarms. We got it down to 11, but we had a guy come in this afternoon. All this spells dollar signs, of course, but we're doing it as cheap as we can.
Hey, Mike, Randy, try it again.
Thank you, TJ. And again, say again, great kudos to your team. A lot of work had to be done with a small crew. And to you as well.
Stand by. You there, Mike?
Yeah.
Okay, we are just finishing up with information updates. We're moving on to other business. Do we have any other business? No other business. Okay, so then that brings us to 12.0 executive session. Do I have a motion to move into executive session under CRS 24.6 402 4E to discuss Do I have a motion?
I make a motion to move into executive session.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Oh,
I'd like to make a motion on the table until the other two board members are there. It's already passed you, so it's not gonna matter.
do I have a second to table the motion? Hearing none, call for the vote to move into executive session, please.
Mr. Allen?
Aye.
Mr. Lawson? Mr. McPherson is absent. Mr. Swayze?
Aye.
Mr. Underwood?
Aye. I call it 8:04. We're moving into executive session.
So no, we just said, we need to disclaimer that no decision will be made, so people don't want to wait.
Yeah, this is, we're going to come back and adjourn. Yes, ma'am. Let's see how this is going to work.
I think back
Brandon, you okay to turn off? Are you okay to stop the meeting?
Yes.